I'm Mega Man 6564 and welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. In today's episode, we begin the last trial. So here we go. This is the defendant lobby, right? There's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 7777777 ID number is, I have a pretty strong hunch. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt on this ID record. If that number does belong to whom you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from the list, I can call for a ruling on the defendant. 5 minutes after the trial starts, Lana will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figure you'd say as much. That's why I came here to hear what you have to say. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, right? This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Gant has on her, it's now. Let's go. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Defense is ready, Your Honor. Prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement, but before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Edgy. Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request and all be finished. Well done. What's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. How? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana. Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This seriously can't be happening. It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant. Objection. The court finds the defendant objection. I love it, Edgeworth. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth. The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come on now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut? I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes? Sorry, but I'm no longer that naive little boy you would have me be. With the sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh, to whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I'm exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue. I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well. The court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Worthy, you'll live to regret this, mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. It looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. Occupation, I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Edgeworth, please remember the trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. Alright, let's do it. Party time. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me, but I'll never forget what I saw that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't armed. I passed out, I don't remember much. That's understandable, however, please tell Mr. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with the Goodman murder? That'll soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, defense may begin this cross-examination. Alright. I'll never forget what I saw that instant. That was what, the fourth statement? Well, what? I want some, more details if possible. Oh, whoops. There we go. Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark just then. The lights went out. It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yeah, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. I want to hear more. So you spoke with Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yeah, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Goodman about what you saw. Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she's mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? I want to know about the picture. This picture the witness drew, I believe it has very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. Huh. Oh, why does this keep popping up? There we go. Oh, what the hell? Huh. A picture is drawn on the back of the evidence list in magic marker. I got a bad feeling about this. Can I present this? Huh. Objection. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture, and yet you still insist on denying its existence. Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence list for the SL9. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over, turn it... Ah! What's this? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I drew. Indeed, two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence in that case ever reached you. What? What? Order, order. Who would have thought the picture would have been drawn on the back of the list? That was handed to Detective Goodman in the questioning room. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor, are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, there might be more of the drawing on the back of Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There is something drawn on the back of my list. This is... that thing. The blue bad... Oh my... No! No! Please, anything but that. No! No, no. Apparently the head of criminal affairs used this for his blueprint. Please, not that thing again. Witness, will you please testify about this picture you drew? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she saw the picture. This is a picture I drew 2 years ago. Why does the knife have no tip? It looks more like a block than it does a knife. After that, I must have fainted. Picture shows exactly what I saw that instant. To think a flash of lightning can burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. Clearly shows Dark about to murder Prosecutor Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Huh. I need to check something. Stabbed in the back, died from punctured heart and lung. A knife tip was in the wound. Huh. I'm going to present Marshall's autopsy. Because, if you look at the picture, there's no tip on that knife. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy? Right here. Contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. In fact, you don't even have to look closely to see that. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. Murder weapon, its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. Where could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah, what's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she could remember it correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Wright. All I'm saying is that this broken knife might be the piece of evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ugh. Order, order, order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. Police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Marshall questioned Dark along with Damon Grant. During his questioning, Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in this story, there is a lie. I'm not lying, man was really holding a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife beside Dark's. Could there have been one? Wait. Where's that halberd? There's our murder weapon. Because he wanted it abolished. We got it. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright? In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. The answer lies in the past, 2 years in the past, right here inside this picture. This is a picture of the award ceremony. Ah! What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Marshall's holding? That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the picture was not Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood this award. Order. Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors. As an award, he was given this broken shield and broken knife. When he chased after Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors award knife was the murder weapon, then the murder and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Marshall. Oh! Ha ha! Yeah. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait, I remember now. I remember everything. Witness, Mr. Edgeworth? What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up and now the blue badger. This should be interesting. Alright. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The head detective of criminal affairs didn't even design him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop, please, don't pursue this any further. Lana, what's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this, I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye? We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. Alright, this is gonna be fun. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I know. Just then there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. But you couldn't have seen it. Unless... No. It would have to be something like that. Hang on. 1 minute. Yeah, because the badger, I guess. I mean, I guess that's kind of how it would look. You guys can't see this, but I'm actually holding this upside down right now, trying to make it match to get it to work. But I think this is what we should present here. The mysterious blue badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? It's some sort of jar. Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them. The correct angle to look at the... oh my god. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is ridiculous. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the blue badger. No, it can't be. All right. Order, order. The defendant has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that the badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed. Very well then. Please tell us, what's different now that we know the witness saw the jar? The location. Allow me to take these in. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. Not only that, but she saw it at a very specific angle. Knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it's these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Gant's office to Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what the reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah! The suit of armor holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall wielding the prosecutor's award. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Yes. There is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless, I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Skye knocked away was actually Prosecutor Marshall, you mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? Wow. Wow. Thud. Well, that's, I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Skye, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that, coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yeah, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touche, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life, somehow. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? There's those blood stains on the jar. Real murderer's name may have left behind is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Don't be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There's only one thing we seek. The truth, no matter how painful it might be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased, the jar. This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. There is a line here drawn in blood, so what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away, but blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor? I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've got to connect the dots to make letters. Okay, this is gonna be horrible. Yeah, you connect there. Here. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove his client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Marshall left behind. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. See, Worthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer, that's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know? We aren't defenders of justice. What? We were merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on here? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order, order, order! Order! The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. So next time, on Ace Attorney, we come back from recess, we get the party going again. And so yeah, so next time on Ace Attorney, I guess we're finishing up this trial. So until then, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. So for now, so long.